recording right now. And the session will be uploaded to our YouTube page, where we can send you the link for you to, for who wants more information or missed out on something, we can send you the link. Please can I ask that all mics be muted so there is no interruption for the guest speakers. If you do have any questions, please feel free to use the text box function, or alternatively, you can voice your questions at the end at our Q&A session. So without further ado, please help me welcome the Director of the Advancement and Alumni Relations Office, Mr. Zokele Ngubane, who will officially welcome you to the webinar. Mr. Ngubane.
Thank you very much, Ronelle. And thank you to the team for putting all of this together. I'd like to also just extend a very big thank you and just words of appreciation and gratitude to the 4 speakers who will be presenting today. But yeah, let me welcome all of you. Welcome to our guest speakers. Welcome to students, alumni, and any staff as well who are present. I would like to welcome you to another one of our sessions on the Alumni Mentorship webinar series. We've been holding these monthly webinar series for some time now, this year. And really, it's part of the broader Alumni Mentorship program, which seeks to assist our students and graduates as well to fine-tune their skills, network, and also with the view of improving their opportunities of accessing employment. We know that for young people, especially who've just graduated, often the challenges, you know very few people within your industry that you can talk to, that can advise you, and that can also provide you some kind of access in terms of employment, who can give you pointers. So it's really important that you network, that you know people within the field of interest and study that you've chosen, so that you're better able to network. And so hence the Alumni Mentorship program was established. And this is a platform where alumni of DUT who are well established in industry and business have the opportunity to mentor current students and even young graduates as well. So with that, then we've now launched the Alumni Webinar Series, where we are actually having these kinds of sessions where we deal with topics that relate to work preparedness and work readiness, so that our students can have a sense, especially our students who are about to graduate, can have a sense of what the world out there is expecting of them before they exit and enter the big world of work and business. So today's session is really about personal branding, which is also a very important aspect when it comes to work readiness. How you present yourself is extremely important. If you come across to potential employers as somebody who is unemployable because maybe of your attitude or the way that you are dressed or the way that you come across, then it becomes a problem. And obviously each industry and each field has certain expectations, and some of these are unwritten rules that you need to sort of pick up through some kind of orientation or mentorship. And so we're very excited to have this guest speakers for today, who are actually alumni of DUT. And they will be speaking about the various aspects related to personal branding. And so I'm hoping that you will enjoy today's session, and that it will be fruitful and valuable and informative and insightful to you. And we hope that we'll make the most of it. And also, please do note your questions. Let's have an engaging session. We'll allow the presenters to do their presentations, but please do write down your questions so that when it's a question and answer session opportunity, you will then be able to engage the speakers and ask questions accordingly. So thank you very much and welcome to this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ngubane. Ms. Mapumulo, I'm going to hand over to you with sharing your video and beginning the webinar.
Thank you, Ronal. In the words of Teams and Zoom, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to just start off with who I am. So Zoto Mapumulo is a DUT journalism graduate and an employee of a company called Supersport International based in Johannesburg. I have been in the broadcast industry, or pay TV industry, if you'd like to call it, for about 13 years now. I am originally from KwaZulu-Natal, from a small town known as Umbumbulu. To provide a brief background as to how I got into the industry myself, I'll be playing you guys a short video clip. But before I do that, I just want to give you a little bit of background of how the video came about. So I work as a production manager for the football department, as mentioned, at Supersport, and my job entails me working with the Premier Soccer League, commonly known as the PSL. So as part of a campaign that was done by the then sponsor, which was ABSA, which was called the Ready to Work campaign, this was an initiative aimed at bridging the divide between education and the world of work through the platform of television, providing young South Africans the opportunity to apply and intern at Supersports and at PSL. Here I was awarded the wonderful opportunity to tell my story. So I'm just going to play the video. Enjoy.
My name is Zotumo Mapumulo. I'm a football production manager at Supersport, and PSL is my baby.
Sorry about that.
I joined Supersport in the year 2008. I came in through their Supersport internship program, and ever since I haven't looked back. I took a keen interest to local football. For me, it's the atmosphere, it's the vibe, it's being at the stadium, it's watching my team win. After being exposed to watching it, because I knew that this is something that I'd like to do, this is where I wanted to be. When the opportunity presented itself, I joined the football department as the production manager for football. So in the days leading up to a live match, we start off with a football production meeting. We look ahead at all our games, the venues we're going to be stationed at. The day when we get to the venue, we get a brief from PSL, we get a brief from the two team managers, so we can all be aware and be on the same page in terms of our expectations for the production. My advice would be grab the opportunity with both hands. This opportunity has opened new doors for me. It has exposed me to such a big world. It has exposed me to big names, big people. It has exposed me to talent, the likes of Robert Marawa, Carol Manana, Zama Masondo, names that I used to hear about, but here I am today working with these people.
Stand a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an ABSA Premiership internship. Register for Ready to Work by visiting readytowork.absa.co.za.
So that is me. Today, however, I will be talking to you about excuse me, the valuable art of self-promotion. This presentation was adapted from a Miss Fiona Martin, an exceptional young lady, career coach and organizational psychologist who presented at the MultiChoice Women's Forum a few years back. This topic stayed with me ever since, and this is something I've learned to apply to. This is something that I've learned to apply to my daily life.
Sorry, colleagues, can we request that we keep our mics on mute if we're not talking? Sorry, this is Zotomo about that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm just going to go back to the beginning of this slide. Where was I? Okay, so like I said, today I'm going to be talking to you about the art of self-promotion. So how this came about is I attended a workshop or a seminar for the Women's Forum at MultiChoice, and a young lady was presenting, and her name is Miss Fiona Martin. She's a career coach and an organizational psychologist, and she spoke about this term known as self-promotion. So it stuck with me, like I said. It stuck with me ever since, and it's something that I've tried to apply to my daily life and my ongoing career. And today I hope you will also be able to pick up a few pointers here and there during my presentation that will help you navigate your own personal career and growth. Next slide. So, what is self-promotion? When I Googled this on the internet, I came across multiple definitions. And this was one of them that stood out for me. It defines self-promotion as the act of furthering one's growth, advancement, or prosperity of oneself. But my definition of self-promotion, I would say, is the ability of promoting one's visibility, competence, skills, and abilities to others. It's presenting facts and stories and experiences and emotions from either your past, your present, or your future working life. Now, today I will be explaining this definition in the context of the workplace. I will try and share as many examples as I can of how I have used this tool to work for me in my career. So wherever you are in your timeline, in your life timeline, whether you're a student, an intern, a graduate, or a junior within your organization, self-promotion and personal branding are critical tools that will assist you in your career growth and development. So let's talk a bit about self-promotion. How comfortable are you with self-promotion? Society has taught us that when we self-promote, we may tend to come across as boastful and obnoxious to others. However, I'm here to tell you that if done strategically and with tact, this tool can yield positive results. Humility is admirable, but it's also important that you highlight your successes when you need to.
Sis Sotum, I think you've muted yourself.
Oh my, thank you for that. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I was on the slide of how comfortable are we with self-promotion. So I'm not sure where I'm muted, so I'm just going to take it from there. Society has taught us that when we self-promote, we may tend to come across as boastful, obnoxious, and obnoxious to others. However, I'm here to tell you that if done strategically and with tact, this tool can yield positive results. Humility is admirable, but it's also important that you highlight your success when you need to. So what's the difference between self-promotion and bragging? Self-promotion is purely an attempt to present yourself to others as an accomplished, smart, capable, and skilled individual. It is backed up by facts and achievements. It can be done on blogs, on social media platforms, in public speeches, in face-to-face conversations, and most importantly, through your individual behavior, how we carry ourselves, our mannerisms, our posture, and speech, and even our dress code. It should be a natural tendency and not make you or others feel uncomfortable. So my personal example of self-promotion that works for me on social media is my LinkedIn account. I find this platform perfect for advertising and marketing yourself, whether to capture the audience within your personal organization or even potential employers out there. I personally use this platform to celebrate my colleagues on special achievements and accolades, promote our organization in the best way possible, and celebrate victories of others, and also promote our content. On the screen that you see on the bottom right, on my right, that is my LinkedIn profile. And the screen grabs that I've added are a couple of my colleagues that I do work with that have come through SuperSport and have had the entire journey. So the idea around this is, as much as people might think this is a form of bragging, if you do it tactfully, like for example, the example I'm showing you right now, if you place yourself on LinkedIn and you use this as a platform to communicate either your own personal achievements or celebrate the achievements of others around you, any volunteering work that you've done, This is the best way to showcase who you are to either your colleagues in your own workplace or potential employees. So, like I mentioned earlier, it's not bragging if you can back it up. It's important that when you do this, you ensure that you have done these things. You have the paper trail to prove that you've done these things. And later on in the presentation, I think it is my next slide, I will take you through how you can build up records on how to back it up, if that makes sense. So this leads me to your personal brand in the workplace. So I've made a few pointers to help you guys in the workplace, some stuff that has worked for me. I'm not saying it's sure-proof going to work, but it has worked for me. So it's important that you are clear on what you bring to an organization. It could be that you're a good communicator, a good collaborator. You need to take these skills that you hone and align them to the mission of the organization. The organization needs to know that they've invested in someone that is valuable. And the second point is ask for feedback. Self-awareness is critical. It's important to know how others perceive you in the workplace. So constantly ask for feedback, areas of growth and areas of improvement. And my third one, which is the most important one for me, is be yourself. Be authentically you. No one else can be you but you. And the more you try to be like others, the more people can see through you. So be you, do what you do best, and you will surely shine through. Use social media platforms effectively. So later on in this webinar, my fellow colleague Nkululeko will be talking to you about how to use social media platforms effectively to grow your brand. Like the example I made of LinkedIn. And then promote your brand in person. I personally like to speak and have face-to-face interactions and conversations. So how I have made myself that person in the workplace is I say yes. I say yes to speaking opportunities. I take initiative. I lead projects. I get involved. I try not to sit back. Examples of what you can apply yourself to in the workplace are orientation programs. I enjoy working with orientation programs. When new interns come into the company or the industry, pick your hand up, try and be part of that. Mentorship opportunities, it's something that I'm also seeking to get into right now in the workplace. The second point would be volunteer to help out with external events outside of your job description. This will help raise your profile in the workplace, introduce you to key stakeholders, and connect you with leadership. Cross-collaboration with projects, cross-collaborate on projects with different departments without necessarily seeking remuneration. That has worked quite well for me. And in all of this, I would like to say be consistent. Be consistent in your work, be consistent in your volunteering on external projects and events in the company. Set a tone and lead by that tone. And the last point, ladies and gentlemen, is let your success speak for itself. There will be awards, there will be recognition in the workplace. And if you get all of the above done right, the rest will all fall into place. Right, so let's think of self-promotion as educating relevant people and key decision makers in the workplace about who you are, your skills, your value add to the organization. So what will happen when you don't self-promote? Okay, so this has happened to me a lot of times. Being in the company for 13 years, I also started off as an intern. And over the years, as you grow in an organization, you pick up skills. You pick up coping mechanisms, you pick up how to present yourself, and you grow in terms of confidence and learning to speak up. So I just want to talk about if you don't put yourself out there, you may risk having others take credit for your own hard work. You may become resentful because you've worked so hard in a specific project, but the people who need to notice don't seem to notice. You may be taken advantage of by others or miss out on work-related opportunities. All I'm trying to say here is stand up, speak up, and you will be recognized and you will be seen. Right, so what's important and goes hand in hand with all this that I've mentioned is talking the talk. So language becomes critical in terms of how you speak in the workplace to make sure that you are seen, etc. So here's an example. If you are congratulated for targets that have been met and you get a personal compliment that you did very well, how would you normally respond to this compliment? Because there's no I in team, would you just say it was a team effort, we did it together? Oh, or would you shrug it off and say it wasn't a big deal? Or I only helped out towards the end. So we need to step away and move away from diminishing compliments that we receive in the workplace. You need to stand up and just say thank you. If all else fails, thank the person. If you know you worked hard and you took the lead in the project, you can say, thanks, I really worked hard on the campaign. So using such language, make sure that you stand out, you don't diminish compliments and shrug it off, because this is something that you have truly earned. Minimizing language. Examples of minimizing expressions. I'll make an example. In trying to be polite in the workplace, I used to use lingo such as, I may not be an expert on this, but what about this idea? It's important, and I only gained this after a few years in the workplace, that you are confident and assertive in your speech, especially if you are sure of what you are talking about. And rather use positive words such as, based on my analysis, I prefer we rather do this. Or I'm confident that it will work if we do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So like I said, this doesn't come at first hand. You have to build your confidence, be consistent in your output, and then you will feel comfortable to use these words. And I think this is the last slide in terms of the use of language. The word just has always been a big one for me. I somehow think it lands softer on the other person when I just use the word just checking to see if we can meet and discuss. Rather, you say, which day of the week can we sit and discuss A, B, C, D, F, G? So I am also still learning and unlearning some of the things I was unconscious of in my speech. So these are some of the pointers that will help you reassert yourself. Again, this is just more a language that you can use to help you improve the way you present yourself. For me, this slide particularly will assist in those individuals who are still seeking employment in terms of interviews and internship. Because as much as you may be an intern, because if I recall back to when I was an intern, as much as I didn't have a CV or experience, I had ensured that during my time at DUT, I had involved myself in volunteering to write for papers, to work at community radio stations. So that's how I built my profile to when I do get the opportunity to interview with MultiChoice or SuperSports, and I can tell them about all the wonderful things that I had done. So it's important here that, again, you use language like, I led the project in the team that did X and Y campaign. I launched a new marketing strategy, X, Y, and Z. So it's just also very critical in terms of job interviews. I'm now reaching the end of my presentation, and I just want to leave you with a few words and say that personal branding works for everyone, not just in the entertainment industry. You could be looking for a new job, an internship program, seeking career growth. The power of personal branding is the most influential tool you can use to accomplish your goals. So right now, I'm going to now hand over to my second guest speaker, Mr. Reggie Mapenselandlovu, who is DUT alumni, Supersport commentator, and actor. Reggie is going to be speaking about the importance of personal branding in the entertainment industry. Now, before I let Reggie speak, I would like to just, for all of us to take a quick breather, and I will play a video which I think best introduces Reggie as an actor, and as a commentator all in one. Please enjoy.
Coronavirus. Why? Why are you doing this to us? Our nation is on standstill right now. Our people are hungry for football and our stadiums are empty. Yes, our lives are more important, but do you understand what you have done to us? I mean, Kaizer Chiefs were leading the log for the longest time. Do you remember when Samir Nekovic scored a hat-trick against Bloemfontein Celtic, Panze Tegwine Kakasi?
What a goal from the big man.
Do you remember when Kapatino Mahango scored a hat-trick against Polokwane City?
Mango. Brilliant! Absolutely brilliant! Samba! Who got this hat-trick?
We celebrated. We celebrated when SuperSport United were lifting the MTN 8 Cup. Yes, we celebrated with Mamelodi Sundowns when they lifted the Telkom Knockout Cup.
Mamelodi Sundowns, Telkom Knockout 2019.
At Kaizer Chiefs, Abafana Boktula Nopolo, the Perfeni Glamour Boys would be proving to everyone ukuthi Oba Namakose Ebola this season. Coronavirus. You have taken our beautiful game away from us. But the day you decide to leave our shores, we will be back at it. Ivuvuzela will be heard from one street to another. The shouts, the screams, the singing, the celebrations. Yes, our homes will be buzzing with SuperSport TV. Umhlaba wabanqobi, the world of champions. Lefatsi labo Mampudi. We will be live. Exclusive.
Sorry about that. The video just cut. Thank you so much. I will now be unsharing and handing over to my colleague Regine Lo. Thank you.
Thank you, Sizo. Good morning to everyone, and thanks for having me here. I'm Regine Lovu, well known as Umapenzela. I got the name Mapenzela in football. I used to play football, but I'm currently working as a sports commentator for SuperSport TV. I'm an actor and a director by profession. I studied television drama and production at the Durban University of Technology. There's a theater called the Courtyard Theater. It's there by Redson campus. That's where I was, and I was residing at the Stratford residence. I'm going to be talking about the importance of personal branding in the industry. The question that comes to mind first when it comes to the importance of personal branding is, who am I? I feel this is a question that a lot of people look at and they just shy away from it. I've seen people lose themselves because they are trying to impress other people. Now, when you leave home, when you're going to the university, you leave home alone and you get there, you meet other people, and then that's where you make certain choices. Now, these choices, it's either they stick with you or they catch up with you in future. So the question is, who am I? When you get into the industry, that's the first question you need to ask yourself, Uti. Who am I? Am I someone who's here to change my life and work for my family? Or am I someone who's here to impress other people? I've seen people lose their lives because they are trying to impress other people. We've seen people losing their lives in the early hours of the morning due to car accidents, not knowing where were they or what was happening that night. But most of the people that I've seen, they've lost themselves trying to impress other people. Now, if you can recall back in the days at DUT, there was a magic tour. There was an event called Magic Tour where Mr. Magic Linda Spear would bring a lot of artists to try and engage with students, and it would be a nice event. There's this lady that I knew. She was studying at Priya Technical College, I think. But she was there at an event that was happening in DUT. And when I asked her, she said, no, I'm just here to have fun, with these guys. The following morning on Umbilo, there was an accident, and she was part of the people who were involved in the accident. And unfortunately, they did not survive. So again, it goes down to the question that says, who am I? And who am I trying to impress with the choices that I make in life? Coming into the importance of self-branding in the industry, you need to respect time and space. There are a lot of people who would like to be in the industry, but they are struggling to break into the industry. So once you get that time to be in the industry, once you get the space to be in the industry, you have to respect the time and space. In my 9 years of being in the industry, I've managed to act, direct, be a commentator, and you work with different production houses. Now, when you work with different production houses, it builds your relationship. Because if you're going to work with OK Media might be able to talk with a production house that runs Generations, that runs Mubango. And when they meet, what do you want them to talk about you? Do you want them to talk about you as a diva who throws tantrums in the industry? Each and every time you're supposed to report for work, you are always late? Or do you want them to talk about you as one person who gets to work, that delivers work, and then goes home? Now, one thing that always cripples people in the industry is the choices that they make in terms of chilling with certain people. Remember, when you get into the industry, you are alone. And it's always lonely at the top, because once you make it, a lot of people will start pointing fingers at you. Others will start saying, yeah, no, you're no longer the same. Of course, I'm not going to be the same because I don't have time to chill now, but I've got time to work more. And it helps you show your talent to the world when it comes to self-branding. Now, a lot of people are talented out there, and there will always be one person that is more talented than you are in the same industry. So you just have to respect what you do. And also, if you are given an opportunity, just go out there and deliver. That is the most important thing that you do. Now, personal branding also requires authenticity. It needs you to set goals. Now, by setting goals, it means there's no way at some point you're just going to be chilled and say, yeah, I've made it. That's it. It takes a lot of hard work to be consistent. Authenticity comes with being creative. If you have to sit and wait for someone to give you a job, then you're going to sit forever. Be creative. Draft proposals. Go out there and submit. Go out there and pitch. Look for something to do while you wait for your time in the industry. You need to sacrifice a lot of things. If soccer players can train each and every day, 5 days a week, for just 90 minutes on a Saturday, then what is stopping you from preparing what you want to do for 5 days, knowing very well that you're going to pitch only for an hour? If Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, to those who know football, are the best footballers we have in the world, what is it that they are doing right at the moment? They are working hard each and every day. There's no time for rest. So personal branding also comes with hard work, and it needs you to be authentic. It needs you to be original, because once you sell us fake persona, then that's where you're going to crack, because you'll be trying to impress people. The day those people are no longer impressed, then you're going to be disappointed. It also goes to social media, of which my colleague will talk about social media at a later stage. But personal branding also helps a lot when it comes to social media. If you are authentic and you are true to yourself, we will see the real you. We're not going to see the fake you, where you will be presenting to us someone else, while on the other end, you are living another life. And in closing, I'd like to stick to positivity. Now, a lot of people spend more time being worried about what people say behind their backs If someone talks to you behind your back, it means they're behind you. When you are focused on your future. So positivity is the way to go in the industry. And in closing, I'd like to encourage everyone to go out there, do what you do best. Everyone has a journey. So respect each and every person that you meet, because at the end of the day, you don't know how you're going to meet those people in future. I took an advantage to respect everyone I meet, because they are the very same people who tune in when I'm doing commentary. They are the very same people who tune in to watch the work that I do, whether I'm acting or directing. So positivity, being guided by respect, is the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reggie. I just want to now also share again so I can introduce our next speaker. Please let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Thank you so much. And our next speaker is my colleague, Ms. Tato Moeng, who is a presenter at SuperSport. She is a host, she's an MC, she is the master of it all. So I'm just also going to, if you allow me, play a video that just gives us a bit of an introduction to what Tato's going to be talking about today. One of my favorite topics, women in the industry. So I'm about to play the video. Enjoy.
I'm very excited about today because it's not every day that you walk into an OV van and see lots of women. It's still very much a male-dominated industry, but women are slowly but surely coming along, which is great for me to see.
Here you see women actually operating cameras, behind an EVS operator, cutting highlights, editing live, directing the shows, and that's something we're extremely proud about here at SuperSport.
I'll always be grateful of the fact that companies like MultiChoice are a driving force. They have a mandate and they stick to their mandate to develop women, to make sure that they get to these positions that are mostly feared.
I started with SuperSport in 2014, and it started with an 18-month internship called MultiChoice the Ski Challenge. And then from that point onwards, I was independent service provider, which meant that I do work for SuperSport and I get remunerated at the end of every period.
When I came here to MultiChoice, I started off as an intern, broadcast intern, and I served that 1 year, and then I became a junior engineer, and then I became an engineer.
Not only does the investment in women at MultiChoice show that you care about the future of the company, but it also shows that the company has an investment in women in the workforce. This means allowing the women to have more control over their lives. It means giving them the freedom to plan out their career path and to
Sorry about that. I'm not too sure. It seems like the clip ends there. And not taking up too much time, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Tato Moeng. I'm just going to unshare Tato. You can
Good
share.
morning, everybody. Thank you so much. Really is a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you so much. I hope you sorted there so and everybody can see my video that I'm sharing. Look, I'm actually feeling kind of nervous, ironically enough. Even though I've been in this industry for over 15 years, it still just doesn't get away from me. And firstly, I must say, I'm sitting here listening to everybody speak, and I am literally thinking, why am I not a DUT alumni? So thank you so much, colleagues, for allowing me the time to actually talk to all of you. So just to give you a bit of a background about myself, my name is Thato Muyeng. As Zodumo has alluded to, I've been working with her at SuperSport now for 11 years. I am a sports broadcaster in television and radio. My career probably spans across 15 years. My first stint started at YoTV, believe it or not. I started on kids TV, and I was doing sports at YoTV. And I then went to YFM, which is a radio station, a regional radio station in Gauteng. I worked there for quite some time until SuperSport came and discovered me. I then also worked at 5FM, which is a national radio station. So yeah, television and broadcast definitely is my first love. I studied motion picture production and film at a varsity we will not mention because we're here at DUT. I then went on later to study journalism. So as a journalist student, I was always stuck with the question of what is my niche market? Do I do print? Do I do broadcasting? And I realized that I did have a natural knack and talent for broadcasting. I then went through and did an audition for YFM and got the internship there. But even when I got to YFM, I was still struggling with my niche market, especially because I am a woman. And at the time when I started doing sports at YFM and YoTV, there weren't very many women in the sporting industry. If I remember correctly, it was probably only Cynthia Chaka at the time, Cass Naidoo doing cricket, Carol Manana, now Chabalala doing sports. And it didn't seem like a viable option. There weren't too many people doing it. Was I going to earn money? And then I decided to stick to the political beat and not do sport, because politics was easy. I saw a lot of faces that looked like me. I saw a lot of women in the media industry who got opportunities through politics. And that's what I did for a while. But I still had this love for sports. I really, really loved watching sports with my family, but I didn't know how to go about my niche. Until one day, DJ Spoo had just returned to YFM and he was making this huge comeback. And he also did not know how to re-identify himself in the industry and bring something new. YFM at the time then decided, maybe we can get a female sports broadcaster and they would write all my bulletins for me. I think that's where the change happened, where I decided that I was not going to let somebody else write my bulletin for me because they assumed that I was a woman and did not know anything about sports. I then wrote my own bulletins, and that's where it changed. I took that and made it my niche. I did sports in a very different way, not very similar to my colleagues. It was entertaining, it was engaging, it was interesting. So I think when it comes back to women in the workplace and personal branding, it's very important to master your craft. Have a niche market, make another niche market from that niche market, and keep on centralizing your niche market, but make sure that you know exactly what you're talking about. Because unfortunately, in this day and age, you do have CVs, we do have resumes, but your work precedes you when it comes to personal branding. You cannot personal brand if your work is not up to standard, if you're not a master of your craft. So it's very, very important to first be a master of your craft and then start personal branding. When it comes to personal branding, we now live in this new normal across the world due to COVID and even before COVID. Right now, we're having this wonderful communication through Zoom and we're virtually meeting. So in today's age, social media then does play a part, even if you are a journalist and a professional when it comes to the media world. So you also have to make sure that your personal brand is quite clear on tools like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, yes, TikTok, even LinkedIn, YouTube. Those are spaces where you can improve your brand and let people know exactly what you're about. And content creation then becomes your new digital resume and your new digital CV. So it's very important also, like Rachel has put forward, like Zodumo has also said, authenticity and being genuine still has to be seamless throughout your niche, throughout your social media pages, and of course with your work. So have an identity, stick to it, work on that, and polish it. Now, unfortunately, I also get the question all the time when I get interviews about how does it feel to be a woman in sports, a woman in a man's world. And unfortunately, as women, we still have to face what I like to call the likability conundrum. The likability conundrum is, unfortunately, we still have gender norms, and especially in South Africa, you have to consider the different cultures and different psyches of people. But as a woman, you also have to make sure that when you speak your truth, you know exactly who you are. And yes, you're going to get some backlash because a lot of times when you are opinionated or have an opinion on something or disagree with something, we're normally called the B word, the Iron Lady, a drama queen. You will get those. But if you are certain what your niche market is, if you're certain what you are about and what you intend to put out, you will face some backlash, but you will be stronger. And unfortunately, time, failure actually kind of build you to who you are today. And I think that's what's been with my career, 15 years working in a male-dominated industry. I have faced quite a lot of backlash. It's taken me probably 5 years longer than my male counterparts to get to those positions, get to where they are. But it is fulfilling to know that the spaces are opening up in the media, and I can also then market myself in different ways. And I think it's also very important, just before I end off, to also say that you have to be loyal to the brand. You have to be loyal to your industry, but it's also very, very important to network outside your industry, to network with other industries and show them what your talents are. Because unfortunately, sometimes within your industry, people would not understand. They have too many of you in that space. So it's very, very important to network yourself with your personal brand. And social media is a huge tool that I think a lot of people are not using, but also have a key message. I'm a sports broadcaster, I'm a female, and that is my key messaging. You have to have a key message. And I think, like I said previously, you will fail. You definitely will fail. But the key thing also is to aim for the moon and you'll fall among the stars. And the more you fail, you'll learn not to make those mistakes again. Thank you so much for the time. I hope people do have questions with regards to my industry and what I do, and I haven't taken too much of your time.
Thank you so much, Tato. I will now be handing over back to Ronel, who is going to be taking us to our next speaker. I just want to take this opportunity to let you know that the video that played just before Tato spoke, the first two speakers, Nonocele and Deshni Naidu, are actually also DET alumni from the video technology, or I think it was called video technology, but I believe it has a new name now. Correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you so much. Over to you, Ronel.
Thank you so much. I'm really interested about what had been said, and you guys have done amazing in being so opinionated that, you know, it's important for us to be authentic. in whatever that we do. Our next speaker is Mr. Nkululeko Mbata, who holds a BTech in PR management from DUT. He's a professional model and a content creator, and he signed with Boss Models. Mr. Mbata also is part of the Division of Corporate Affairs at DUT, and being a social media enthusiast, he will share with us today about the marketing of yourself on social media.
Good morning to everyone who has just decided to join us. My name is Nkululeko Mbata. So I handed over my presentation to Ronelle so that she puts it on because, well, technology actually failed me. I'm so sorry if I'm going to sound a bit nervous. This is actually my first, okay, I'm just going to request control. This is my first presentation, or rather an event that is online. I'm just used to having the audience, and it's usually easier that way, but what can we do? We just have to move with the times. Hopefully we go back to the normal quite sooner. I'm just going to sort this out, of which it's actually my slides, of which they aren't much, but most of the things that I will say won't be here. Should you probably want to interact with me, I will definitely leave my contacts right at the end of my presentation. Ronelle, I'm going to need you to hand over the control to me because it says here I haven't got the control over my presentation. Please do check that. Thank you.
I did give you control.
Okay, let me request one more time. Okay, great. I think I've got control now. Let me just see if it moves.
Perfect, thanks.
Okay, it seems to just take forever, but in the meantime, what I will just do is to just add on top of what Ronelle has said about me. I'm part of the DUT communications team under the Division of Corporate Affairs. I wish I was the communications officer as it was projected earlier, but I'm not one yet. Hopefully, I will be one soon. But I work as a communications administrative assistant, of which I offer support to the whole team, or rather the structure of DUT communications. I'm a social media influencer professional model. I have worked with multiple brands. I've worked with multiple brands, of which some of them are. I don't think it would probably be wise for me to share their names and stuff, but if you were to Google me, you'd probably find out what I'm talking about. I'm a qualified PR and communications practitioner, with my BTech degree that I obtained from DUT. Actually, Mr. Zwagele was my first year media studies lecturer. I'm not sure if he remembers me. Because at some point we did have an interaction when I was in trouble. I mean, I wasn't one of the perfect students, but I was always in and out of his office. As I have said, I'm also a brand ambassador, professional model, and a social media influencer and enthusiast. Now, when it comes to my employment experience, I started off at the DT Information Center, which is right next to the DT Alumni offices, of which I was supposed to be there for like 6 months, but it ended up being 12 months. I don't know why. I wouldn't say it was extended because I was good at what I was doing, but I guess it was just the whole administration of getting new people who had to be trained and whatnot. But that is where I started. Then I had to move on to the University of KwaZulu-Natal, the School of Humanities, where I worked closely with the PR manager of that particular school. There I was still an intern, but it was only for like 6 months. And after that, I decided to try a different niche, which was print media, and unfortunately it didn't work out for me because as much as I'd say I'm good when it comes to writing, I don't think I'm actually the best person when it comes to that. I'm one person who literally can't write to save his life. I can write, but it's never like your most amazing writing. I don't know if you probably do get that. And from time to time, I'd work as a casual at the DUT Corporate Affairs, especially during the busiest times. I mean, you know, the beginning of the year when there are events and stuff, since they are the custodians of all that. During the State of the University address, I'd be there administrating their social media, taking pages, and keeping the whole interaction going on. Now, one fascinating fact, but before I go there, the next one was with the Hardy Boys, of which it shouldn't be there, but I'm just going to keep it here, simply because the reason why I actually ended up working here, it was through a friend of a friend who was told over social media that they needed a person to be of assistance for at least 2 weeks, and that extended to a month and 2 months later. Of which now I think it covers the whole purpose of why we're going to have this whole presentation, or rather this whole interaction, which is how do you even put yourself out there using the offered social media platforms. And currently I am part of the DT communications team, just as I've said, of which in August it was, I was a year old. I'm the youngest and also one of the people who recently joined the division, or rather the team of communications. Now, this is how social media works, according to my own understanding. You as a person, you're just gonna go out there and be on some, I prefer mangoes to oranges. Then a random person, it could be someone you probably interact with, or a person that you follow, or someone who follows you, or rather just your online friend you have never even met. They're just gonna be on some. So basically what you're saying is you hate oranges. You also failed to mention pineapples, bananas, grapefruits. Educate yourself. I'm literally shaking. Now, I decided to use this because most people online, in most cases, they always expect you to say things the way they feel like you should say them. Now, when you are online, you need to be yourself, or try to stay true to yourself. As much as some people would go on social media and be on some, the reason why I'm here is to just interact and have fun, say whatever, and at the end of the day, when I log out, I'm no longer that person. But at the end of the day, it is much more related to the person that you are. Now, with this random person saying this to you, it is bound to evoke some emotions from you, of which at first you could be on some. People who have my WhatsApp number would know that this is currently my favorite meme, because it's actually a very loud interaction. I mean, it says a lot. Now, from this, it could be this. You could literally get frustrated, of which if you're frustrated, you are bound to respond in a not so appropriate way, of which in your response, you do not know who is watching or who is actually following up that conversation, or rather the post. Or you could just be this person, pretend as if you just didn't see that, or just respond in a more subtle manner, or just try to keep things normal. By keeping things normal is, as much as you do acknowledge what that person has just said to you, and as much as you don't really go with that, but for the sake of keeping peace, you're just going to be on some, actually, I'll just let that slide, or try to make them understand why you even said that. Now, the important topic, or rather one of the topics that I'm actually gonna look under, or look into, is the most popular social media platforms that are usually used for job searching, with LinkedIn being number one, of which I'm so glad that Ms. Mapumulo did put it out there that LinkedIn has served as the biggest tool when it comes to making sure that all her accolades and her career her career achievements are literally put up there. Basically, on LinkedIn, that is where you get to put up your online CV. That is where you get to market yourself. That is where you have a bigger reach of most companies that you actually get a chance to select on which companies you actually want to follow up. Because what has been happening, like of late, or rather recently, most companies are actually quite big there, with from profiling themselves to also putting up if there are any vacancies happening in their organizations. Now, we have to look at the common advantages of using social media, or rather using social networking sites for the job search. Of which the first one, you basically have a reach to a wider network, of which there you can easily reach a wide network of people just by posting on any of the social media platforms that you are in the market and looking for a job. I mean, in most cases, people online, some of the people, I'd say 50% of, or rather just stretch it to 65, some of the people that are actually online, most of them are actually quite kind and very nice, of which just by doing that, just by posting that post, you could actually get like a large number of people trying to hook you up. The second one is you basically have access to the employers and recruiters' information. Basically, this would help you with the fact that maybe you have been called through for an interview, and in most cases, some companies are quite late, or rather they drag their feet when it comes to updating information about themselves, should it be on their websites or whatsoever. But with social media being so broad, you always have that advantage that you can literally grasp information about a certain organization just by searching them up, and literally everything that has been written about them, it just pops up. Now, all in all, it literally helps you to market yourself. Now, we're going to touch on that a bit more later, because it is a quite broad topic, or rather a situation on how to actually use the tool of marketing yourself using social media. Now, the common disadvantages of using social media sites for job search. Now, it's like networking exhaustion. Nowadays, our networkers have grown tired of what once was really new and exciting. The big problems lies in signing up with every social media site and quickly growing tired of all the time they are spending on them. Now, most organizations aren't always online, or rather, some of the organizations still do not believe in having that one particular person who's just going to be online, taking up questions, looking up who's interacting with their pages and whatnot, of which that is, it literally poses as a disadvantage to you as the person who's looking up at them. Now, user frustration, of which the aggregation is very important for the user. I mean, it combining and forming a comprehensive whole for the respective info. Sites or rather many sites aggregate content and making it simple for the job seekers to search for any specific job. There is no such aggregator for social networking sites, and this users face a lot of frustration, of which now just know you're looking for a job and you're still getting frustrated because you feel like you haven't been given enough, or rather not much is being put out there by your prospective employer. Now, it also damages your current employment status. For instance, let us say I am still employed by the DT Communications and I go online and post that I'm actually looking for a job. Obviously, to my team members, or rather my HR team, or maybe, okay, I need to add this. I go out and make a post that I'm looking for a job outside the organization that I'm already part of. Already that raises a lot of questions like, why do I want to leave? What is actually happening? I mean, there's no employer that gets excited over the fact that one of their employee, or rather some of their employees, are actually trying by all means to get out of their organization. Oh, sorry about that. Now, as I have mentioned before, that not every company is big on social media, which poses as a disadvantage for you as a job seeker. That you might think that you're probably gonna get everything that you require on social media, only to find out that some companies do not necessarily put everything out there for you. Now, how to use social media like to job search. These are like the basics. First and foremost, take your phone or your PC and Google yourself in incognito mode, of which I'll come back to this one. Why I'm saying you should Google yourself in incognito mode. Another important aspect, especially if you know that you're going to be using social media to try and find yourself a job, clean up your accounts, especially Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or wherever you usually share content, especially if you know that the content that you have been sharing, some of it is inappropriate. I'll tell you the reason for that a bit later. Now, you need to focus on just a few social media platforms. You don't necessarily have to exhaust all of them. I mean, there's like a lot of, but since we're in South Africa, I suppose LinkedIn, Facebook, and probably or sometimes Twitter are much more useful, or rather just Google. But just be specific on which ones you will be using, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be lost within you. Let me just say, you probably get a call for an interview and you just can't remember when you even applied for that, because it happened just by simply you saw a post on Facebook, you decided to apply, you forgot about it, you went on Twitter, saw another one, and you still applied for that. I mean, you just lose track of you lose track of your progress, basically. Now, use social media to research. I think I have kind of touched on that. Use social media to research, may it be about your prospective employer or just any other organization that you probably might want to be part of. Within those social media platforms, make sure that you join groups. Now, the groups that I'm talking about, I mean, there are so many groups that are offered, or rather that have been created for job seekers, for whatever that you might probably just find useful when searching for jobs. Make use of those. I mean, there are people, as I've said, that some people online are just kind enough to just always remember to share what they've came across with literally the next person that they've never met. Okay, now the untold truth is South African employers are getting big on screening your social media posts. Now, it's quite sad because I couldn't get a screenshot of that article that I once read on some time ago, of which it was, I'll just use the term a battle. It was literally a battle of two people, of which they were both quite deserving candidates for the post. But one had seemed to be quite controversial on the social, or rather the online platforms, of which now no one, or rather no organization wants to be linked, or rather associated with someone who's just controversial online, especially with some organizations or with some careers. With some careers, it doesn't matter much, but it does matter. Not that it doesn't matter completely, but it does matter. What you do online always comes back to reflect on them. If you are big or if you are quite familiar with Twitter, you will know how many people have lost their jobs just by simply saying things that were found inappropriate by the other users. People would literally go all out to even get to your HR manager or the CEO of wherever you work just to report you. Now, if it is that dangerous, it should show you how important for you to be on the lookout of what you always put out there. Now, some of the things that I usually checked out when the employers are actually checking out your social media presence. Basically, it is your online behavior. How are you with the other people, with the other users? The type of person that you are, your online visibility, also, which is a disadvantage because if you have been identified as someone who spends like quite a lot of their time on socials, literally no organization wants someone who's like that. It's okay for you to socialize online, but then you must have a specific timing for that. You can't always be online unless if your job is like literally online, of which in most cases that is what I do, but I literally cannot always stay online. Also the content that has been shared or the content that you always like to share. Like for instance, there was a case, in most cases I usually interact with students. There was a case where one of the Housecom members, Housecom is one of the residential structures. There was a meeting that was supposed to happen on a Saturday afternoon, but they claimed that they had forgotten about it. Yet, during that time, they were online on WhatsApp and busy posting stories of them having fun wherever they were. So now it always goes back to the content that you share might actually be the one that's literally going to throw you under the bus. Also, the power of association. Who are you associated with on the online spaces? Now, the power of association, it doesn't necessarily kill you that much, but it's a matter of how interactive are you with. I'll just use, or rather just use the example of, let us say you have a very controversial friend and you're not controversial. Now, it goes to a point that how which role do you play in interacting with the content that has been shared by that friend of yours? Are you always there giving hundreds? Yeah, my friend, you're doing great. Actually, that's the way. Actually, that's correct. Even though you know that some of the things are quite inappropriate. I mean, employers do look out for that. I mean, some organizations, and as much as you might not know, but they are quite big when it comes to, especially at a stage where you are close to being employed, because when they take you in most cases, it's for a long term, and they do not want to take in a very problematic person. Now, that is why you must proceed with caution. Okay, great. Now, these are some of the social media behavior stories that have costed, I would say, okay, I'll just use some of the individuals that could have been the next biggest things. I do not know if you probably do follow, some of you, if you are familiar with the Miss South Africa pageant, but this was actually last year, Miss South Africa 2020, Bianca Skumbe. She was literally like the first runner. As soon as she posted her audition video, people just couldn't stop raving about her. But you know, like people do have time. They literally went out to find out the type of person that she has been in her early ages, of which it was quite not nice because they literally dug up her old tweets, of which some of them were quite not so pleasing, of which it ended up seeming like, or rather it ended up being painted as she is racist, of which now we are in a democratic country of which we all need to be embracing each other. We cannot have someone who is painted as racist to represent us, because according to my own view, should she have been selected as Miss South Africa, I mean, we could have been talking a different story. But unfortunately, she didn't only get chucked out of the competition, but also because she's a professional model as well. The agency that she was with literally terminated a contract. Some of the organizations she was involved with, they literally distanced themselves from her, of which now, can you imagine that you literally have to start afresh just because when you were younger, you decided to be on some, yay, freedom of speech. I can literally say whatever I want to say online. No one is going to go back and literally track me down, or rather check what I had said before I decided to be a grown woman or man. I mean, everything, like with the online world, you can never say things get pushed back, like they get pushed to the back. Literally, people have got time to go and dig up what you probably wrote when you were first introduced to Facebook or Twitter million years ago. And also a woman that lost her NASA internship just for swearing on social media, of which it's quite sad, because now when she was interviewed, she did mention that this was literally her dream job, of which she was actually getting close to achieving her dreams. But just because she used social media in a not so good way, she literally lost it. Now, what matters the most is, as much as social media has been provided as a tool for you to market yourself and put yourself out there, you also have a part to play with regards to be always on the lookout of what type of a person you want to be perceived as by the next person. That next person could be your next employer. That next person could be your next colleague. Now, as I have been emphasizing, that nobody wants to be associated with someone who seems to have a bad record, or someone who's just blatant when it comes to the online platforms. Now, before I close, these are the two quotes that I decided to interlink, of which they make sense to me, and I hope they make sense to you. The first one goes, social media is addictive precisely because it gives us something which the real world lacks. It gives us immediacy, direction, and a and value as individual. That is by David Amerland. Now, from that, please remember that you do not have to use social media to impress people. Use it to impact people. Now, I'm definitely sure I probably did miss some of the few points here and there, but I think if this presentation did trigger you much, it will literally send you out to the internet to research more of how to use social media as a platform, not only as a platform, but as a tool to actually make yourself better. It should push you to go and clean up your account if you know that you haven't been the cleanest person when it comes to the online world. And it should also give you an assurity that social media actually does work, especially if you use it just the right way. I mean, the job that I'm currently serving on, as much as I didn't get it through social media, but the person, or rather the individual that is my line manager now, we started off as just friends on Facebook, and from then she was literally my guest at my first ever event as a third-year student, of which she has always liked my work ethic, and I've always admired what she does, of which when it finally happened that we got to work together, it was literally like I would say I was just very excited because I already understood the person that she was, her expectations, and also I've also got to see some of the different life aspects, or rather the person that she is, should it be at work or just online. So it is very important that the behavior that you have as a person, you maintain it as a proper person online as well, because you'd never know who is actually watching or looking, interacting, or taking part in whatever you decide to engage in. Thank you very much. I hope that was fruitful for some of you, or even all of you, and I'm hoping you probably do have questions for me at the end of this webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mbasa, for that. I found it very interesting. I know that some of us would also agree that we post things at times on social media that isn't very kosher. So let's go now to our Q&A session. I just want to check our text box. I want to see if there's any questions there. Please raise your hands if you have any questions, and then we can go from there. Hey, Mustafa, you can please continue with your question. You can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation, and also thank you so much for the incredible knowledge, and also giving us a lot of lightness about a lot of things. So I just wanted to say something quickly first. You know, I used to work for a company for 4 years, and then you know, I don't have any social media. I don't have Facebook, I don't have LinkedIn, I don't have anything. Okay, but now you see, in the company, I think they were looking for anything in a social media about me, but they never found anything. So but this company, they actually, you know, tried different method. I have a laptop, I have you know, the only thing, like, in my laptop, I love watching my movies. I love to do research, you know, like downloading articles and doing stuff like that. So, you know, just to build my knowledge, my understanding, and become better person, and also contribute toward my technology, my community. So what they did in this company, they actually hacked into my laptop, you know, using my address and my location. They hacked into my laptop, and they copied everything that I have in my laptop. So now, like in a company, you know, let's say now when they introduce some solution in the company, you know, so but this solution, it was in my laptop, you know, it wasn't like somewhere else. And then you know, they use it as their own, you know, without like, they didn't respect, they didn't delete, they utilize this information as an asset, you know. So as their own asset, their own, you know, knowledge, their own. And this, it was, for me, it was very, very wrong. And you know, they continue doing this, and you know, I think until today, I'm here in Durban, they do this, you know. Like, I know how they do it, and and a lot of people, they will not imagine how the technology become very fascinating. You can hack someone offline. If there is certain settings, you don't put them off, you know, in your laptop, you can get hacked offline. Because you see, this company I work for, they have cloud technology, and they have really tools, but I don't have physical evidence to fight back, you know, to tell them, hey, what you are doing is wrong, or go to the police and report this matter as cybercrime, you know. So my point here is, a lot of organizations, they're eager to know the person, and they are eager to, how can I say, to know your attitudes, your behavior, your practice, you know. So, but me, they did wrong with me. In this case, what is your opinion? What is your opinion when someone couldn't find anything in social media, but they found valuable information in your laptop and they hacked into your stuff and they used it and they, you know, and they try to use you like, they treat you like a stupid person and, you know, and something like that. What is your opinion? And why is it happening? And why not, if we can just have policies to say, people, you should, you know, follow this specific rules, please, or specific guidelines. Please don't jump this if you are working for the company, like what you mentioned, you know, like doing the wrong stuff in social media, you know. So
Yeah. Thank you so much, A. Mustafa, for that comment. I think Zaduma wants to reply to you. Zaduma, do you want to reply to that comment made?
Yes, I would like to give it a bash. So, from what I can hear, it sounds as if obviously this was a cybercrime, and being someone already in the workplace, I can just share my experience with you and hope that you can take something out of it. So, where we work, it is important as an employee that when you are given a work device, so be it a phone, a laptop, or an iPad, that you try by all means not to conduct any of your own personal browsing, downloading, anything to give anyone some sort of trail about you. In saying that, most people in my work environment own two devices. Because we are in the broadcast and technology industry, we have a separate device that you carry out your own business and do anything that you want to do, and a device where you only carry out work and work only. Now, it is unfortunate that in your case, they hacked you and used the information against you and didn't even give you credit. It's very much unfortunate, and these things do happen when we live in such times, unfortunately, that when we open ourselves up, these days it's as easy as connecting to a Wi-Fi connection that is not secured. So I would say personal responsibility is to just make sure you have two separate devices and you conduct business, your private business in your device and the work-related business on their device. And it does not give them the right to go in and do what they did, but for you to safeguard yourself, your career, and who you are, because these things, yes, they can be used against you. If you are using a work or company device to apply for a job, I've heard instances where these things do come up at disciplinary hearings. But I'm not an expert in this area, but my only advice would be have separate devices and yeah, better safe than sorry.
can I say something, Miss? No, I'm using my own private, my own internet, my own laptop. Everything is my own. When I leave the work, I leave their own laptop in the company. I don't carry it with me home. I leave it in the company, and everything is there. When I get home, I have my own network. I have my own internet. I have everything my own. Nothing linked to the company. I never use their devices for anything, you know. You see, in that company, as soon you access with your own cell phone, they trace your cell phone. They have a database just to update the cell phone details. They are not, um, they don't have any, they trace anyone, like as soon you get into their environment, even if you carry your cell phone, it get hacked automatically, and now it get update everything like WhatsApp, everything. So I leave everything at home. I don't carry nothing when I'm going to the work. You see, the cell phone doesn't have with the keypad, doesn't, it's not like advanced cell phone, just a small cell phone. I put my SIM card in for call. And when I get there with that cell phone, also they made a technology to trace these cell phones. You see, now they.
Oh, not sure what happened there, but I think, hey, Mustafa, this may be a conversation that we need to take offline. If you can just drop me your email, and then we can further chat about what's going on in your company and see if we can assist in any way. And then we'll also get just Zadumo involved, and maybe she can assist you with some advice or so forth. Can we have our next question? I saw N Mamela's hand up. If you can unmute your mic and then give us your question. Sorry, before the question, in the text box section, there is a survey that we would really like for you guys to complete. It'll just take 2 minutes of your time. It will give us an indication of what we can do better and what topics you want us to discuss at the next webinars that we host. In Mamela, after you.
Thank you, Ronel. Thank you, colleagues, especially Tato, who's Tato, just by doing this webinar, you are part of our family now, and you can still join us. It's never too late. We do have a business school that you can be part of. Sorry, Tato, I usually recruit people now and then. One thing that I just wanted to highlight for the attendees who are part of this webinar is that never make the mistake of thinking that when you say you are from DUT or from any organization, that people will look at you separately from that organization. Therefore, it's very important. This is something that I usually tell to students who engage in mass protests or violent protests, not because I'm trying to save the institution or trying to lessen my workload, but because when people make sure that the brand that you are in or the organization that you are working for or that you are studying at, make sure that whatever you do, make people want to identify with it, make people want to be associated with it. Don't make people say that every time you say you are a student from DUT and they're like, oh, you are that striking student, because that does not only impact on the institution, but it also impacts on you in the long run, even your qualification in some instance. I remember that I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we had a protest, a staff protest that took over for like 3 months. And I remember a colleague applied for a job. She actually came and told me that, I remember you were telling me that we should not engage in this process because it will affect us in the long run. She said she applied for a job, and in the interview that she went to in one of the institutions in Cape Town, they actually had an image whereby the image was taken by one of the Twitter journalists, where she was right in the front, and they asked if that was not her, and she said yes, it was her, but she was striking for her rights. And I said, but then couldn't there be a better way for you to engage the institution in order to listen to you? So it's very important what you associate yourself with, and think of the brand while you are still part of the institution, whether as an employee or a student. Just remember that tomorrow, this is how you want to be identified. You're not only doing it for the brand, but you're doing it for yourself as well, and it will impact on you in the long run. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for that. Our next and last question is going to be from Tembeka and Tuli, because the time is, it's 25 to 12 now, and I know a lot of people have other commitments. Tembeka, can you give us your question?
Yes, before my question, thank you so much, Ronel. I just want to appreciate all our speakers. They were so energetic and insightful. I have a question particularly for, I think it was Zodumo Mapomolo, who was actually encouraging us not to talk down on ourselves, like the use of the word like just and other examples. I was particularly interested in that and finding out from her on what other resources can one use.
Okay, I'm not sure what happened there. She got cut off. Okay, so maybe Zadumo, what we can do is people can email me their questions. If you are unsure about something, or if you want to know something, email me the questions. I'll email it to the guest speaker panel, and then they can come back to me, and we can work from there. I'd like to hand over now to our manager, Nishi Govender, Ms. Nishi Govender, who is going to pass the vote of thanks for the webinar.
Thank you so much, Ronelle. Thank you, colleagues. I must say this really was an interesting and very interactive webinar, and right from the start, from our first meetings that we had with you, Zadumo, we were really quite excited about it. So thank you for keeping to that line, that excitement and that interactiveness. We thoroughly enjoyed it. And I must say, I think we are filled with such pride that our DUT graduates are doing so well. Ms. Moeng, as Nakolo mentioned, we won't hold it against you that you're not a DUT graduate, and you are most welcome to join our team. The fact that you gave up your time and to offer your expertise is helping our graduates as well. So we thank you for that. You know, some of the things that I have gleaned from this is that you have got to grab the opportunities that come your way, or you've got to create your own opportunities. Positivity is key. You have to be authentic. You have to master your craft, and you have to find your niche. So we all know that effective personal branding is quite crucial, is quite important. It differentiates you from your competition, and it allows you to build trust with your prospective clients and employers. I've just come across an article that's on Forbes magazine that says, whether you know it or not, you have a personal brand. So when you Google yourself, see what comes up. So Dumo, thank you. Thank you for giving off your time and imparting your knowledge and your expertise. And I also often use the word just. So now I'm also thinking that before this webinar started, you asked me about being in the front line, whether you'd like to show your face, you like to do it. And I said, I don't. So I don't know if that was a trick question at the time. But now I understand where you're coming from. So thank you for that. Mr. Ndlovu, thank you so much for your time as well. And as it so happens, I know Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. Those are the two I think I only know. But I must say, you know, we know football is associated with passion and emotion and excitement and dedication. And your video introduction really showed all of that, especially Umzo, the Slay Queen. That was a good look. Thank you, Ms. Moeng, for offering your advice and to our students and to our sort of guests that have attended here. We found your presentation very interesting, and it's also quite heartening to see that SuperSport, the brand that it is, has taken such an important stance in getting females as part of the brand as well. So thank you. And then Kululeko, thank you so very much, our very own model and influencer. Thank you very much for your time as well and imparting your experience and expertise for today's webinar. Thank you as well to all staff, alumni, students that have attended and have participated in the questions, and I am sure you have all enjoyed it as much as we have, and I'm sure it will help you in some way to assist you in marketing yourselves and creating your own personal brands. And of course, I'd like to thank my team, our colleagues at the Advancement Office, for all of the hard work put into this webinar, and it truly was a fantastic webinar. Thank you so much. Go well.
Thank you so much, Nishi. Just one last question from Sherilyn Benjamin. If you can ask your question, and then we will then end the webinar officially.
Thank you. It was a beautiful webinar, very interesting. I just need to find out for the register. Is there a register?
No, we download the register from MS Teams.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much again, everybody, for attending. If you have any questions, I have dropped my email address in the text box. You can email me, and then we can chat with Zodumo and her team and try and get your answers to you.
Thank you so much, Ronelle.
Thank you very much to everyone for attending. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Thank you. Go well.
Thank you. It was an honor with you today. Bye.